Welcome. I have another word to discuss. I discussed ethnicity before, but maybe I need to backtrack and let's start with race. Today, I want to talk about what the heck is race. It's a big topic today. Racial groups throughout history in various parts of the world have suffered discrimination or been given privilege in those regions. So let's take a look at what race actually is. If we want to look up a definition, you'll get something like race is a social construct, a collection of people that share similar and distinct physical characteristics that set them apart from the rest of the population or unite them together, something of that manner. But it's actually missing one key cog if we want to look at this thing sociologically or even in the context of history. We need to understand that those physical characteristics have to be significant enough that that particular society says that that means something. What do I mean? Well, skin tone, eye color, height, texture of hair, facial structure. All of these things are physical characteristics that collections of people have shared. Did the society that they lived in think that that was different enough to set those people apart? Now, when we talked ethnicity, we were talking about their cultural traits, the way they live, their faith, their language, the way they talk, the things they enjoy doing, what they do when they come together. That's culture. That is moving towards the ethnicity piece. But if we're talking just race, we need to look at what that society thinks of them, really just physically. Here's a couple examples. The reason why society thinking those physical characteristics are so important, look at the Irish. When the Irish first moved over, their fair skin didn't necessarily make them Caucasian, fully Caucasian. If we look at the Hutu and Tutsi battle and dispute that we see in Central Africa, these are both dark-complected people. But because of facial structure, shape of the nose, cheekbones, etc., one was looked at as more acceptable than the other. When the Germans leave Sudan area and other parts of Africa, one group that gained power looked at the other group as having privilege under the European regime, so therefore they were the new enemy. They become the oppressed people. In American history, African Americans have suffered persecution, first slavery, then black codes, then Jim Crow laws, etc. But at first you may look at skin tone as being the distinguishing characteristic. But as you can tell, we've lightened up. There are African Americans of various shades. But those fair-complected African Americans under the black codes, under Jim Crow, still suffered the same level of persecution than a dark-complected. So it wasn't necessarily the skin tone that made the race distinct. There was the one-drop law in American history. And that one-drop law said if you have one drop of African American, you are African American. So at times when that meant, owning land, the rules of town, curfews, etc., marriages, etc., all those rules that applied would apply to a fair-complected African American as well as a dark-complected African American. And you get the concept of passing. A fair-complected African American would occasionally try to pass himself off as Caucasian so he can get through the day easier. Obviously, because the skin tone and maybe some facial features were the most important characteristics to that society. To be completely honest, when we talk about society setting one race above another, it's just a power struggle. It's just my group is in power. How do I retain power and keep power for my group? By distinguishing another group of people as less than. Race, ladies and gents, is a social construct. It's a group of people who share similar physical characteristics, distinct physical characteristics, that a society deems are important enough to set them apart as a group. If you take this video and you connect it with my ethnicity video, we can get a good idea of, the subcultures of our great country. Thanks for tuning in. Hope to see you soon. Peace.